U.S.-Israeli war with Iran has now entered its third day, and President Donald Trump says it could last weeks. The U.S. leader also acknowledged that he had not ruled out sending ground forces into Iran. Iran says it will attack any vessel trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil transit routes. It also launched drone attacks on energy facilities in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, both key U.S. allies in the Gulf. President Lee Jae-myung attended a summit on artificial intelligence in Singapore and called for deeper cooperation in AI. He said South Korea will establish a $300 million global fund in Singapore by 2030, focused on investing in promising AI and deep tech startups from both countries. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. We begin today with the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. It's now been 3 days since the attack on Iran was launched, and U.S. President Donald Trump now says the war could last 4 to 5 weeks and refused to rule out deploying U.S. ground troops to Iran. Our Kim Do-yeon starts us off.
3 days into the Operation Epic Fury, the joint U.S. and Israeli attack on Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump justified the assault. Speaking to the press at the White House on Monday local time, Trump said the decision was made to thwart Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs and to eliminate its naval assets. Trump also vowed to pursue the war for as long as necessary.
This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister.
The attacks have killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, sunk Iranian warships, and hit more than 1,000 targets so far. Trump added that the operation could last 4 to 5 weeks, possibly longer, and could even include the deployment of ground forces.
But whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks. But we have capability to go far longer than that.
Trump's Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth insisted that the operation was not the beginning of an endless war, while the Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that while the president has the option of doing so, the U.S. military is not currently postured to deploy ground forces. In terms of casualties, at least 550 people in Iran have been killed, according to Iranian Red Crescent, while 6 U.S. service members were also killed over the past 3 days, according to the U.S. military. And in the U.S., the public has expressed its dissatisfaction with the operation. Nearly 6 in 10 Americans disapprove of military action against Iran, as most believe a long-term military conflict between the two nations is likely, according to a new CNN poll conducted by SSRS. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And Iran has declared the Strait of Hormuz closed and threatened to attack any vessel that attempts to pass through the key oil choke point. The move has sent energy prices sharply higher and raised fears of major disruptions to global oil and gas supplies. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has declared the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz closed to all vessels. According to Iranian state media on Monday, a senior advisor to the Guard's commander-in-chief said the strait is shut and that any vessels trying to transit it would be attacked by the Revolutionary Guards or Iran's regular navy. If enforced, the move would effectively halt commercial shipping at one of the world's most critical energy choke points. The Strait of Hormuz is the narrow entrance to the Persian Gulf, through which about 1/5 of global oil exports passes. Tankers using the route transport oil and gas from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, Qatar, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Iran, with much of it destined for Asian markets. Meanwhile, tensions escalated further on Monday as Iran launched drone attacks on energy installations in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, both key U.S. allies in the Gulf. Qatar's defense ministry said Iranian drones targeted a power plant and an energy facility. Shortly afterward, Qatar Energy announced it would halt production, a move that sent global natural gas prices sharply higher. Oil prices also continued to climb amid fears of supply disruptions and potential shipping bottlenecks. Brent crude futures for May delivery rose 6.7% to $77.74 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate gained 6.3% to $71.23. Despite the surge, some analysts noted that the increase was smaller than expected, as earlier projections had warned that oil could approach $100 per barrel. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Tensions in the Middle East are sparking concerns over potential energy disruptions and the impact on South Korea's economy. Officials say contingency plans are in place and that they're moving swiftly to respond. Kim Junong has more.
Warnings from Iran telling vessels not to enter the Strait of Hormuz have raised concerns for import-dependent economies. South Korea relies on the Middle East for over 70% of its crude oil and around 20% of its LNG, making it particularly vulnerable to any disruption. The closure would force tankers to take alternate, longer routes, raising shipping costs and causing delivery delays, while experts warn oil prices could climb as high as $100 a barrel. That would drive up costs for key industries in South Korea, while adding to inflationary pressure and weighing on exports tied to the Middle East. In response, the government has stepped up emergency checks as tensions in the Middle East escalate. The Ministry of Trade, Industry and Resources held an interagency meeting Monday, warning that global oil and gas prices could remain volatile, but stressed the country is prepared for a prolonged crisis.
We have stockpiles covering 208 days of crude oil and refined products, and we are confident that supply can be maintained even if the situation becomes prolonged.
The presidential office also moved to calm public concerns. Speaking to reporters during a visit to Singapore, top security advisor Ri Song-nak said there was no need for undue alarm.
We are thoroughly prepared across all areas, including the real economy, financial markets, and national security. And the presidential office is maintaining an emergency response mode.
He added that the situation remains in its early stages and that the government will keep a close watch while preparing measures for a range of possible outcomes. Kim Junong, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, South Korea's foreign ministry has issued a temporary special travel advisory for 7 Middle Eastern countries, including the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. The advisory went into effect as of Monday at 6 p.m., with the ministry urging citizens planning to visit the region to cancel or postpone their trips, and advising those already there to move to safer locations. Oman, Bahrain, Jordan, and Kuwait are also included in the advisory. Under the measure, areas currently under Level 1 and Level 2 advisories will be raised to a special Level 2.5 alert, while Level 3 zones will remain unchanged. A special travel advisory can last up to 90 days and is issued in response to urgent short-term risks. President Lee Jae-myung is heading to the Philippines after wrapping up his state visit to Singapore. South Korea's presidential jet departed Singapore's Changi Airport on Tuesday morning. Upon arriving in Manila this afternoon, President Lee will visit the Rizal National Monument to pay tribute to Jose Rizal, an independence hero who fought against Spanish colonial rule in the 19th century. Lee will then hold a summit with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at Malacañang Palace. The two leaders are expected to discuss expanding cooperation in defense, nuclear energy, shipbuilding, and other areas. President Lee is scheduled to return to South Korea on Wednesday. And before heading to the Philippines, President Lee attended a summit on artificial intelligence during his state visit to Singapore and called for deeper cooperation in AI. He vowed to establish a $300 million global fund in the country by 2030, focusing on AI and deep tech startups. Here's our Blue House correspondent Song Yoo-jin with the details.
Better together. That was President Lee Jae-myung's message at the Korea-Singapore AI Connect Summit in Singapore on Monday.
인공지능은 산업 구조와 일자리, 그리고 우리의 일상까지 바꾸는 핵심 동력이자 국가 경쟁력을 좌우하는 전략 자산이 됐습니다. 세계적 수준의 인공지능 역량을 갖춘 한국과 싱가포르가 손을 맞잡는 것은 필연적이고 또 매우 반가운 일입니다.
Noting that both countries have overcome their limited land and natural resources through human capital and technological innovation, Yi said it is time to channel that strength into AI. To that end, President Yi unveiled 3 key initiatives. First, South Korea will establish a $300 million global fund in Singapore by 2030. This will be Seoul's first offshore global master fund focused on investing in promising AI and deep tech startups from both countries. Second is the Korea-Singapore AI Alliance, a strategic framework bringing together policymakers, industry leaders, and the scientific community.
기업과 대학, 스타트업이 서로의 지식과 자원을 공유하며 협력하는 개방형 혁신 생태계의 시발점입니다. 창의적인 아이디어가 현실로 구현되고 청년들이 지속적인 도전과 성장을 이어갈 수 있는 굳건한 기반이 될 것으로 믿습니다.
Third, the two sides agreed to expand joint AI research to help tackle global challenges. With such efforts, President Yi says South Korea and Singapore will be able to shape the AI industry, a field currently dominated by the US and China.
제조 분야라든지 또는 실용적 영역에서는 우리가 얼마든지 세계 1위를 해낼 수도 있겠다. 사람을 중심으로 한 연구와 개발 그리고 새로운 응용 영역의 개발은 아마도 양자가 협력해서 얼마든지 새로운 영역을 만들어낼 수 있겠다.
Following the event, President Yi also visited demo booths of Korean AI firms doing business in Singapore. He and First Lady Kim Hae-kyung later attended a state dinner hosted by the Singaporean president and his spouse. 송유진, Arirang News.
Over in Spain, the world's largest connectivity event, the Mobile World Congress, is underway under the theme The IQ Era. South Korea's 3 telecom giants share one key focus in common: agentic AI. Our business reporter Park Junan files his report from Barcelona.
Marking the 20th anniversary of its debut in Barcelona, the world's largest telecommunications event, Mobile World Congress 2026, began on Monday local time. Bringing together around 100,000 visitors from 200 countries, the event highlighted how companies are positioning themselves to meet customer needs amid rapidly advancing technology.
In line with this year's theme, the IQ Era, companies here in Barcelona are merging human and artificial intelligence to create a smarter future. Let's see how that vision is turning into reality.
South Korea's 3 major mobile carriers, SK Telecom, KT, and LG U+, have converged at this year's event with a strategic pivot toward agentic AI. By positioning themselves as the core brain and infrastructure of the AI, companies are developing systems capable of independently planning and executing complex tasks, making proactive decisions to anticipate and meet user needs. SK Telecom, under the concept of full-stack AI capabilities, included features like a hyperscale AI model, fraud detection, and personalized secretary-like AI agents.
With the evolution toward agentic AI, we see its role handling tasks on behalf of the user, acting as a true AI assistant. We focused on how much of a customer's workload AI can take over, and how quickly complex processes can be completed with just one click.
KT has set up a booth that blends technology and culture, featuring a dedicated pavilion modeled after Gwanghwamun Square. While most exhibits focused on business-to-business solutions and work models, one thing that stood out was its serving robot.
Based on what you're seeing right now, how many guests do you think there are?
Based on what I'm seeing right now, there is currently 1 guest, and we estimate...
The robot recognized the number of guests, suggested where to seat, and even offered an apron if needed. It represented the next level of service robotics, autonomously anticipating customer needs and taking action before being asked. Meanwhile, LG U+ showcased voice-based AI services under the agenda of humanizing every connection. The company's CEO, Hong Bum-sik, also took part as a keynote speaker at the opening ceremony,
where he emphasized the voice that connects people. The company also showcased AI agent Ixio's next-generation model, Ixio Pro, which functions as a proactive partner that suggests solutions before being asked. The company said it also plans to make its AI agent compatible with humanoid robots. By integrating intelligence into every connection, the firms at MWC 2026 are laying the groundwork for a future where AI isn't just a tool, but a proactive infrastructure that understands and moves with us. 박준환, Arirang News, Barcelona.
KPop Demon Hunters has won the award for Outstanding Producer of Animated Theatrical Motion Picture at the 37th Producers Guild of America Awards. The film's producer, Michelle Wong, accepted the honor at the awards ceremony in Los Angeles on Saturday. The top prize in the overall film category went to One Battle After Another. KPop Demon Hunters is looking to add to its success at this year's Academy Awards on March 15th, where it's nominated for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. In the Middle East, friendly fire by Kuwait has shot down 3 U.S. fighter jets. Kuwaiti Defense Forces on Monday accidentally targeted the U.S. jets while providing support for combat operations against Iran. All 6 crew members successfully ejected from the aircraft and are in a stable condition. The incident occurred as Iranian missiles and drones filled the skies over Kuwait. An investigation into the incident is now underway. In the U.S., Austin police have identified 2 college students killed in a bar shooting that wounded 14 others early on Sunday in downtown Austin, Texas. Austin police on Monday named the victims as 19-year-old Ryder Harrington and 21-year-old Savitha Shan. 3 other victims remain in critical condition. They were shot dead by a gunman who opened fire from an SUV before continuing the assault on foot with a rifle. Police officers shot dead the gunman Indiaga Dian at the scene. Dian was wearing a sweatshirt with the words "Property of Allah" written on it, and the FBI and Austin police said they are investigating the shooting as a potential act of terrorism. Officials said Dian legally purchased the guns in San Antonio in 2017 and had not previously been on the FBI's radar. Wall Street staged a resilient recovery on Monday as investors shrugged after U.S. and Israeli airstrikes on Iran rattled global markets. While the Dow Jones dropped 0.15%, the tech-heavy Nasdaq gained 0.36% as buyers rushed towards AI giants like Nvidia and Microsoft. The S&P 500 also ended the day with little change, edging up 0.04%. Despite the geopolitical turmoil, analysts suggest investors are treating the conflict as a temporary disruption rather than a long-term economic shift. Defense and energy sectors saw significant gains, while travel stocks plummeted under the weight of rising fuel costs. Airports across the Middle East canceled thousands of flights as the joint U.S. and Israeli war on Iran disrupted regional airspace for a 3rd day. Flight trackers have said more than 4,000 flights a day were canceled across the Middle East, leaving hundreds of thousands of passengers stranded. On Monday, more than 70% of flights to the UAE and the Qatar remained grounded as regional governments enforced strict airspace closures. Dubai airports announced a limited resumption of flights late on Monday. Industry officials warned the disruption will worsen and carry significant consequences if the conflict continues. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
Today marks the first workday of March and the start of the new semester. Overnight rain and snow have tapered off, but it was a cold and cloudy start for the capital region. However, the greatest concern is heavy snow in the mountainous regions of Gangwon-do province, with up to 20 centimeters of more snowfall expected through tonight there. Meanwhile, the East Coast will see rainfall, and Gyeongsang-do provinces and Jeju Island could see 5 to 10 millimeters of rainfall. And this afternoon, Seoul and Daegu will both getting up to 12 degrees Celsius. And tonight, for those observing the 정월 Daeboreum full moon, a total lunar eclipse will occur. The western regions will begin to clear toward the evening, allowing a view of the eclipse except along the East Coast. And this week, afternoons stay warmer than norms, but another round of rain and snow this Friday will bring a brief cold snap to the country this weekend.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.